Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys an update to my Harpie Lady deck profile. This is going to be a pretty different kind of Harpie profile from what I've previously done. This one very much just leans into the aspect of Harpie's Feather Storm, just to be able to stun your opponent and use a couple other tools to slow them down and try to just punch in for, some good damage on your second turn. Or if you're going second, there's plenty of other stuff that you can do with this deck. So very cool, different concept of what Harpie decks are usually trying to do. This is just basically turbo Harpie's Feather Storm. So anyways, without any further ado, let's get on into it. All right, so we're going to be starting off here with 3 copies of Harpie Lady. So we're playing the vanilla instead of Harpie Lady 1 at this point because Harpie Lady 1 just has a lot of really nice ways that you can combo this card with stuff in the extra deck, as well as stuff throughout the main deck. So it just is pretty versatile for being a normal monster. Then we're going to be going on into 3 copies of Channeler. This card is still one of the bread and butter cards of the deck. Just kind of helps you to get your plays going, but still really not the best monster maybe, because at the moment Harpie Perfumer really helps to help perform for the deck. This card, just being able to try to get 2 cards in your hand is really great. Most of the time you're just going to be adding 1, but sort of some stuff that I have in the deck allows you to be able to try to add 2 cards rather than the 1. So that's always really, really good, just to help to get extra cards to your hand, which usually results in extra bodies. Then we are playing 3 copies of Harpie Harpist. At first, I was going to try to just bump this card down to 2, and then I realized right before the deck profile that really what you're trying to do with this deck, again, is utilizing Harpie's Feather Storm on your first turn. That way you can stun your opponent when they go. So that means that you do actually have a little bit of time for Harpist to try to add a card during your end phase, and then you utilize that to again swarm your opponent on your second turn. So basically what you're hoping for is opening, you're hoping to open Channeler, Harpist, and Featherstorm in your opening, and then you just go Channeler, pitch Harpist. Harpist is going to add a card during your end phase, and hopefully you can end up getting up to your 8,000 damage to take out your opponent's life points. So very important to play this card at 3, just so you can try to get that extra search during the end phase, so you get that hand advantage and can start filling up your board. Then 1 copy of Harpie Oracle. This was a card that I was trying to bump up to 2 copies, so I was going to play these at a 2-and-2 ratio. But Harpie Oracle, still really great being able to special summon itself from the hand if you have a level 5 or higher Harpie on the field. Which is going to be very, very often. So again, that was why I wanted to bump it up to 2. But still, you have plenty of other stuff to do in this deck. Plenty of other ways to get bodies on the board. So if you can find a way to bump this up to 2, I would highly recommend it, just because its recycling capability with stuff in the graveyard is actually pretty important. Then we're going to go on into 1 copy of Harpie Queen, just so we can add our Harpie's Hunting Ground. 1 copy of Harpie Lady Sisters. I almost took this out of the deck until I realized that there are a few instances where Harpie Oracle, it's going to help, but also the Harpie Perfumer. Harpie Lady Sisters is pretty important because we're going to get a little bit later on into the spells, but we are playing the Swallow's Nest quick play spell card. So there are instances where if you have a Harpie Lady on the field and then you use Elegant Egotist to get out a second Harpie Lady, so you have 2 on the field. And then you use a Swallow's Nest to go into Harpie Lady's, you use your Elegant Egotist to go into Harpie Lady's Sisters, and then the first Harpie Lady that you had on the field, you use your Swallow's Nest to go into Perfumer, and then that's going to allow you to add 2 cards, which that kind of a route would not work if you're just trying to go into Cyber / Harpie Lady. So, again, if you want to be able to, if you're in the instance of 1 Harpie plus Elegant Egotist plus Swallow's Nest, which is definitely going to happen pretty often, then you go for Perfumer and you can add 2 cards. So that's why you need the Sisters in the deck. Then we are playing 1 copy of Harpie's Pet Fearsome Fire Blast. And then for our last monster, 1 copy of Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, again to pair with our Swallow's Nest. Hey guys, really quickly, I do want to just interject something right here into the profile. I totally forgot when recording this, that Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds is absolutely banned. So we are going to get to the spell cards a little bit later, but Triple Tactics Thrust is going to be the card that I'll supplement here. So we're actually playing 2 copies of Thrust in the main deck. So keep in mind, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, totally banned, absolutely forgot about that. All of the testing that I did for this deck was just on paper. I didn't do anything like on any of the simulators or anything where it shows you like if a card is banned or not, so that one slipped through the cracks. But I thought all of my tips and stuff during the recording were really good for this profile, so I didn't want to re-record the whole thing. I really like that. So shout out to when I originally updated this profile, and at xdarena on YouTube commented and reminded me that Barrier Statue of the Stormwind's super banned. So Triple Tactics Thrust, we're playing a second copy to mitigate that here, and it just allows us to be able to still search for our Feather Storm even better. Great, all cut up, good. Then we're going to go on into the spells. So we have 3 copies of Elegant Egotist. This card is going to allow you to special summon any of your Harpie, your regular vanilla Harpies, or your Harpie Lady Sisters. So still pretty important to be playing that Sisters. That way you can get it out of the deck. And if you end up drawing Sisters, it's more of a brick than a garnet, because you can always draw it, pitch it off of Harpie Channeler, and then recycle it with your Harpie's Feather Rest, which we'll get to in a little bit. So definitely not the worst thing to be playing in the deck. Then we're playing 3 copies of Hysteric Sign just to get extra ways to get our Elegant Egotist, because Elegant Egotist is actually one of the more important cards of the deck. You could kind of think like, oh, this card just gets you a body, so it almost feels like a little bit worthless. But realistically, if you go Hysteric Sign into your Elegant Egotist, and then you get another body out of the deck, that's going to allow you to start thinning your deck basically by 2 cards. If you get Hysteric Sign, you're going to be thinning your deck by 2 cards, and that's going to allow you extra ways to try to find your Harpie's Feather Storm. And then also the end phase effect of this card when it's destroyed, sent to the graveyard. This card is also just insane. You only get 1 of the 2 effects per turn. So generally you're just going to be adding Elegant Egotist. But if you do have the setup with Harpie's Hunting Ground, you can always get that 3-card advantage too, which is really cool. Then we're playing our 1 copy of Harpie's Feather Rest. You really only need 1 copy of this, but this is a really great card to be to also be able to utilize having a level 5 or higher Harpie on the field. So that's going to be your Sisters or your Cyber/Harpie Lady. Or also your Harpie's Pet Fearsome Fire Blast. But anyways, being able to draw 2 cards if you have a level 5 or higher Harpie is really insane. And also being able to shuffle back some of your guys. So there's a pretty nice loop where you can use Feather Rest, summon Oracle. Oracle can add back Feather Rest, and then Feather Rest can shuffle back Oracle, and you just can kind of keep looping them, depending on how many turns it takes you to kill your opponent. Then we're going to be going on into 1 copy of Harpie's Hunting Ground. You really just need 1 copy of this, and I am not playing the Harpie's Feather Duster in the main deck, just because you're really not playing up against too much back row stuff nowadays, Labyrinth and all that kind of stuff. Whatever, you can always side deck it, so you have games 2 and 3 where you can still add in Harpie's Feather Duster. And then I know what some people are going to be saying in the comments, where Harpie's Feather Storm can add Harpie's Feather Duster to your hand if this card is destroyed in the spell or in trap zone, but it has to be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. And let's be honest, that's just not going to happen. You want to utilize this card to stun your opponent. So, you really don't care about, having it get destroyed so you can search for Harpie's Feather Duster. In general, Harpie's Hunting Ground is going to be enough spell trap removal for you, and it's going to help you to get rid of your Hysteric Signs when you need to. Just in general, you just don't need it. I wanted to make sure that I maximized every single deck slot in this deck, so I can make sure that I got to the plays that I needed as consistently as possible. Then for our next spell card, we are playing 3 copies of Swallow's Nest. I already sort of explained a lot of the plays with this card, but attributing a Winged Beast monster and then special summoning another Winged Beast type from the deck with the same level as the attributed monster is really, really crazy. Being able to go directly into your Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds is just so crazy. And then again, also pulling Harpie Perfumer out of the deck, all that kind of stuff is really good. Then for extra ways to search for our Feather Storm, we have 1 copy of Triple Tactics Thrust. I didn't want to play 2 just because you might brick on that a little bit. And then 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent just to try to draw into extra cards. And then we have 1 copy of Called by the Grave just to stop our opponent's ash blossoms, all that kind of stuff. So very, very important. Getting on into the traps then, we're playing 3 copies of Harpie's Featherstorm. This card is like the heart soul of the deck. I hate that it is the heart and soul of the deck because this card is just like disgusting. But, you know, a win is a win in Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you're looking to take this to like a Scrub League tournament or whatever, or you could even play this against meta, like this deck can still definitely win. So this card, Stunning Your Opponent, is just like... I mean, I don't want to say underrated, but I mean, it's like underutilized because I just can't believe that everyone's not playing Wing Beast decks when you've got this card in the game. Then we're playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence just to try to help break through boards going second or, again, stunning our opponent going first. And then for the final trap card of the deck, we're playing 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick can go either for Infinite Impermanence or Featherstorm if you don't see it. So with the Featherstorm, Trap Tricks, and Triple Tactics Thrust, we're basically playing 7 copies of Featherstorm, and then we also just have other ways to get to Featherstorm as far as like drawing and stuff. So in general, you're going to be seeing that card most games. So that is going to be the main deck. I am not playing Ash Blossom in this deck, if you guys haven't noticed. Before we get to the extra deck, I'm going to show you the side deck package really quick. So 5 cards to play for the side deck is 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 1 Crossout Designator. You would basically be playing this because if your opponent Ash Blossoms you on your Trap Trick, you want to have Crossout Designator to be able to stop that. And then we are playing the 1 copy of Feather Duster in the side deck, obviously. Like, if you're not playing it in the main deck, you got to be playing it in the side deck for when you are going against big back row decks. But this seemed better to me in the side deck than in the main deck because, that might seem crazy not to play Ash Blossom. But again, the main concept of the deck is to go for Featherstorm. So if you Featherstorm your opponent, you don't need Ash Blossom to stun your opponent anymore. And the deck slots of this deck are just so tight. I mean, again, you can review through the deck as much as you want. Basically, everything is in here for a purpose. And besides adding in the last minute things that I added in were the extra copy of Harpie Harpist and Harpie Lady Sisters, but that really only leaves you 2 deck slots. So there's not enough space to play like this package in the main deck, or you could play like 1-and-1. That was another concept that I thought of, but the last thing that I'll say about this is that, again, you don't really need this package or this package going into game 1 because your opponent's probably not going to know that you have like cards like Trap Trick to get to your Harpie's Featherstorm, and they're not going to know that you're playing Harpies to like be trying to turbo into this card. However, in games 2 and 3, you might need this package because if they see what you're doing and you activate Trap Trick, they're going to be saving their Ash Blossom for the Trap Trick. So this engine's still good for the side deck, but again, it's not really your main goal to be like Ash Blossoming your opponent's stuff. So I think that you don't really necessarily need it in the main deck. For the extra, we'll try to go quick here, but we're playing 1 copy of Cyber / Harpie Lady. You really only need 1 because we have so many ways to like, you can either bounce this card to the hand or to the extra deck with its own effect, or you can shuffle it back into the extra deck with your Harpie's Feather Rest, and like I already said, you can basically loop that card. So this card, just playing it at 1 is perfectly fine. We can get damage in the plenty of other ways, and there's just so many like good toolbox cards like that you don't want to waste slots on like multiple copies of a card. So we're playing also 1 copy of Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. This card pairs really nicely with Zeus because it can just attack directly. 1 copy of Lightning Chidori. In my opinion, like, you have to play this. This right here is the holy trinity of the 3 XZ monsters that I will play in every Harpie Lady deck until the day I die. Lightning Chidori and Ice Beast Zero Fine, these cards are just crazy at breaking boards and stuff. And then 1 copy of Baguska. If your opponent just hand traps the heck out of you and you just need to end on Baguska, perfectly fine. We can generally get to 2 level 4 monsters. And then 1 copy of Dracosac in case we can get into our dragon and we want to pop some stuff. And then lastly, Zeus for the XZs. Very, very cool card to be able to play in here. Then we have 1 copy of Harpie Conductor. This card also just pairs nicely with some of our bouncing effects and whatnot. 1 copy of SP Little Knight. If you have extra bodies, like with your Harpie Oracle and whatnot, you can always go into SP Little Knight, or you can go into Baguska. SP Little Knight is just pretty advantageous just to be able to, like, go into this, and then if your opponent does play through your Feather Rest, then you can always just banish whatever they put out. So basically, like, your main end board is going to try to be like Cyber Slash Harpie Lady, and then SP Little Knight if you can extend. It doesn't look like much of an impressive end board, but when you have the Feather Storm in your hand, your opponent is going to feel pretty small compared to your, like, little board. Then we are playing one copy of the Doom Eagle. This card is just really nice if you're locked into wins, just to be able to go into this and control your opponent's graveyard. And then for the last couple of cards here, we are playing a little normal monster package to be able to go into some really cool plays. So we are playing Link Spider, because Link Spider is going to allow you to basically, like, climb around with your Harpie Ladies and go into some cool plays. So if you have a Harpie Lady plus, like, an Elegant Egotist to be able to get a second copy, very, very good. Or if you have Harpie Lady, or if you open with 2 copies of Harpie Lady, you normal summon the one Harpie Lady, go into Link Spider. Link Spider allows you to special summon your second copy, go into your second Link Spider below it, and then you go into the Crystal Heart right here. That card is going to allow you to then special summon a Link Spider back from the graveyard, and then you go into Decode Talker Heat Soul, which is just a really cool way, like that literally just took 2 Harpie Lady monsters, and then if you had an Elegant Egotist or some way to extend, then you can put that extra body into an Access Code Talker. And along with that, you can also pay the 1,000 life points in the meantime to draw an extra card. So again, sort of like our Triple Tactics talent, as well as our Feather Rest, just allowing us to draw extra cards to be able to try to find that Feather Storm. So, and then Access Code Talker, obviously, just to help, like, bust through boards. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and we will see you for the next one. Peace.